After Arsenal dropped 2 points essentially to Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, with Broberry getting a late equaliser against Arsenal after Arsenal were just about to win the game, let's just call it as it is, and then snatching that late equaliser. I actually wanted to start a new segment on the channel called Dave's Fan Reactions, where we actually go into a lot of the actual main talking point games of the weekend and we summarise their reactions. I comment during it, making my points known according to what each fan is saying. And there's no better game to start this off than with the 2-2 draw against Sunderland. Today we're going to be covering Lee Gunner, Troops, James, obviously, from the Gooniverse, and obviously Dan Potts from Football 12th Man. Make sure you subscribe to all their channels, and their links will be in the description. So we're going to actually react to them, and I'm actually going to make my points known throughout the reactions, see what they're saying, and let's see if we can come to a conclusion of what they're saying. So let's get into it, guys. So the first one we're going to come up with is Lee Gunner. He obviously was definitely fuming after that 2-2 draw. And I was actually watching his live watch-along, and honestly, the celebrations are going crazy in his watch-alongs. And I think ultimately at the end, that was an absolute killer blow to Arsenal. So let's see what Lee Gunner is saying. We're not going to be doing the whole video itself, but what we're doing is certain parts of the video so we can actually analyze it from my perspective. So let's get into it, guys.
And it is an emergency because I think a lot of people have been carried away with the fact that we've been keeping clean sheets against teams we should be, by the way.
Yeah, that is actually true. I think Arsenal's defensive record with their clean sheets, I think they should be keeping them. And I know, obviously, we're talking about certain teams that they played as of recent, but they should be doing it. Obviously, we knew that Arsenal were always a great defensive side. This season is all about honing that in, and yesterday didn't actually show that. I would have expected Arsenal to actually come up with a win. After they're going 2-1 up, I would have expected Arsenal, literally inevitable in this case, to get the win, but they didn't. So I think maybe Lee has a point there.
Not only that, we're supposed to be beating the teams we're beating.
Yeah.
I mean, Simeone's washed, right? Okay, cool.
He does actually praise Simeone a lot. I do know that, obviously, from working with him before. And he definitely does praise Simeone a lot. Because I think Simeone actually, if you would look at it in terms of how they play, Atletico Madrid don't actually play the worst football. Look how they beat Real Madrid. They absolutely destroyed Real Madrid. And this season, they're finding their feet right now. Very, very much finding their feet. They got a 3-1 victory against Levante as of this weekend. So Simeone is a great coach. We know that. And defensively, he's very stubborn. Look at the points tally that when he won La Liga, very good. So Arteta, I think, not trying to replicate that, but what he's trying to do is he's trying to be that defensive manager and make a stubborn defense so you can inevitably win titles, because Simeone done it against Real Madrid and Barcelona in their pomp. So it's very, 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 very hard thing to do that, and I think Arteta can do that against the two best sides in Liverpool and Man City.
One substitution, and it was for a defender to come on.
Yeah.
For an attacker.
Yeah, exactly that.
Attacker goes off, defender comes on, we can see the equaliser.
Mm-hmm. That I completely criticise Arteta for that. I absolutely have no idea what he was doing. I don't know why Arsenal went to a back five, and Yardman said this also on AFTV's fan cam. Why did we go back to a back five? What was the point of bringing Mascara on? The defensive stability, the structure, and I saw Arteta literally talking with Gabriel Heinze next to him, saying, what should we do? I have no idea why they came up with the idea to actually bring Mascara on. It completely destabilized the defense. The positioning of Gabriel was completely horrific. The communication between him and Ryan was completely horrific, and obviously led to the goal.
Okay. And this is why I keep telling people, I keep getting told that I'm negative, keep getting told that I'm toxic, keep getting told I'm the enemy of this club's success. I profit off of this, I profit off of that, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Well, the October champions, the treble winners, have just been humbled, mate. They've just been humbled.
I could say they have been humbled. I would say that it was Arsenal's misdoing towards the end of the game. Humbling is, I would say, when you get destroyed by a team on the other side. Like, I would say that Liverpool humbled Real Madrid in the Champions League. I would say that Atletico Madrid, as a Real Madrid fan, humbled us because of the manner of the defeat. But this was a draw, so I wouldn't say it's a humbling, but I would say it's a wake-up call to Arsenal, just to not take their eye off the ball.
And it was nothing more than we deserved. We were lucky to even get a draw, really.
Yeah, because, look, I got to be honest, the first half was shocking for me, for Arsenal. I think they were poor in the first half. And I think the draw itself, I'm telling you what, was not justified at all. I think, essentially, it could have gone either way. I think Arsenal had their fair share of chances. Obviously, Zumameni hit the bar. We had a few shots from Zumameni. He was flying into the box at times. But I think Arsenal, I would say they actually came up with the goods in the second half to try and get the win, but ultimately Sunderland, they performed better in the first half, so the draw is definitely justified. It could have been a different story altogether if Arsenal did not put their thinking boots on in the second half. Trust me on that one.
Oh, but Lee, we hit the bar.
Yeah.
The keeper made a mad save.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Did that set a marker down for Liverpool, Man City for tomorrow?
No, it did not. It did not. He's putting the air condition on. It did not. And I think ultimately it didn't set a marker. I honestly think that it was not the best performance because it allows Man City or Liverpool to claw back points, which is pretty crazy to me.
Everyone's going to be sitting there praying for a draw tomorrow in that game. Okay. You want to hope it's Arsenal a draw, fans mate. And even if it's a draw, it's back to square one with a game gone. Okay, cool. So they're still in it then. Right, what are we doing here? Man
I love what he says. What we're doing here.
City win that game. The Blue Sharks are definitely circling.
Yeah, that's the truth. I think Man City, with if they do win that game against Liverpool, trust me on this one, they are going to be hunting down Arsenal for the rest of the title, and it's going to be crazy. Let's get on to Dan Potts and let's see what he's saying on this video.
What a killer! Gutting, embarrassing, frustrating.
Yeah.
Gutting because we've conceded, embarrassing because Gabriel gets out-muscled, and frustrating because that was such a massive 3 points we needed this weekend. The biggest frustration for me was I'm not sure we actually deserve 3 points.
That's actually true. Again, he's saying it as well. Like Dan Potts and also Lee Gunnar are both saying the same thing, that they don't deserve 3 points. And I can slightly agree with them in terms of the overall performance. Like, they should have been better in the first half. That's factual. And they weren't. They were consistently forced out onto the width of the pitch. They weren't really doing anything in the central park. And what happened was Sunderland got the goal. And they got the goal by two of their centre-backs literally bombing up forward, long ball, and then it literally caused problems for the back line. Completely lost problems. Declan Rice obviously lost Ballard in the thick of it, essentially, and then it completely left them open to pass by Raya. It's very, very simple tactic, very effective, and Sunderland. It shows why they're in that position in the Premier League.
Yes, Zumameni hit the bar. Yes, we had other chances in the game, but if I'm honest with you, Sunderland bullied, battled right to the end. And
yes, that's the truth. They did, and that is the main thing. I think if you're looking at that, Lee Gunnar and Dan Potts are actually quite correct in this, because they're looking at the whole match, and Sunderland right at the end, they knew they were 2-1 down and they went for it. But Arsenal, when they were 1-0 down, they didn't really go for it, especially in the first half. I know it came rather late into the first half itself, but they didn't show any effectiveness in the front end of the pitch. So it was Arteta's doing in terms of the setup of the team. How are you going to be playing against a team like Sunderland, who are going to be rigid at the back? Literally 5 defenders stacked upon 4 in the midfield and closing the channels in the middle, trying to disable the space in between each player. It's always going to be like that against Sunderland, and that's why they're there. That's why they're in that position at the moment in the Premier League.
Probably a deserved draw, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Now, maybe watching it away from the game itself in terms of not being there, maybe people saw it differently, but
yeah,
I thought Sunderland battled. I thought Sunderland tried everything they could, and if I'm honest, I think they respected us. I think they come knowing that they needed to take something from it, and they have done. In the end, they've got away with a point. I'm frustrated.
Yeah, it's true. And that point for Sunderland is so big because they know Arsenal are probably the best team in the Premier League at the moment in terms of their position, what they're saying, how they're getting results on a week-by-week basis, and they came up there with a game plan. Arsenal, they didn't. And it should be very disappointing to Arsenal fans to even walk away with a draw, to be honest. Let's be honest.
I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, because I felt like with bringing Mosquera on, we could probably try and see the game out, but we haven't managed to. Going with the three at the back, I really thought Arsenal would be able to do a professional job and get the job done, but it hasn't worked out that way.
Yeah, I think that Mosquera change, like I said before, with Ligana, completely killed how the team line up and how they were supposed to set up there. I mean, you may do that in a Champions League game, but when you have Sunderland trying to go on the insurgency and they're trying to really attack you on the other end, you need to have some know-how about how you can obviously get another goal if you go in the reverse end as well. And they just literally just sat back and tried to defend the rest of the lead. It may have worked in the Premier League so far in terms of clean sheets and how they've stacked those upon each other, but not in this match against one of the top 4 teams at the moment currently in the Premier League. Oh, advert. Sorry, guys. We move. Next one. We've got James, obviously from the Gooniverse. Make sure you check out all the channels, guys, by the way. Make sure you obviously subscribe to all of them. And I want to hear what James has to say in this one.
If I did my reaction at half-time, I'd have been furious with the team. At full-time, I think the only thing that hurts is kind of the manner in which we drop the points.
Again, the same thing, you see? I think a lot of them are actually talking about the same thing at the same time. They're all talking about the manner. They're all talking about how Arsenal got the draw, how they were winning and then they dropped the points. It is a frustrating thing, especially for Arsenal fans, to even be in this position. You saw that they were completely just backed up against the wall, no attacking options, and they just literally just put everyone back. There was nothing going in the other end, and that's why it allows Sunderland to get into the game. Sometimes in these matches, you just need to put them on the back foot as well and carry the momentum. When you score that goal, carry the momentum forward, and they didn't do that. Especially after Trossard's goal, that immaculate goal. Why didn't Arsenal go and hunt for more goals? Why didn't they put Sunderland on the back foot? Because they easily have the team to do so. So they didn't have that, essentially.
Otherwise, I kind of thought there was quite a lot of positives, actually, weirdly, from that second half. And I feel more encouraged than I sort of thought I was going to be at the prospect of drawing at Sunderland, which sounds crazy because of the manner in which it happened.
Yeah, I said it in my comments, essentially, where I was talking to someone in the comment section, and I said last year probably Arsenal would have lost this game. I said that. They would have probably lost the game. And the reason being is because they looked like a team that had a mentality to come back into the game, but last minute, obviously, Broby got the goal. We know that happened. Last year, I think it would have been a completely different ballgame. I think Sunderland would have just coasted with a 1-0 all the way through, and Arsenal wouldn't have been able to break down. But you saw the patterns of play. You saw there was encouraging signs in the second half, especially with Zubimendi trying to flood up front, trying to break the line of the defense as well. You look, Declan Rice was really good in the match. You saw the width being utilized a lot. You saw Trossard cutting in and obviously making the goal stand as well. You saw Saka also on the other side, even though he looked like he was having trouble trying to find spaces in the defense, he found a space essentially. And Arsenal, from that break, essentially from Declan Rice recovering possession and then feeding it through to Mourinho and eventually fed it through to Saka, then it came the goal. So there were encouraging signs, but at the end, it wasn't very encouraging.
And, I said again in my Gooniverse News match reaction, I said, look, we're sitting Liverpool facing each other. Feels like a missed opportunity with the fact that we've been on this brilliant run, with the fact that we turned around a 1-0 deficit, with the fact that, it was a 94th minute equaliser. All these things make it much harder to stomach.
But yeah, it is. It is a very hard stomach pill, that one. That you're right at the end. You think Arsenal are going to collect 3 points. You're now waiting on Man City versus Liverpool. And then it just absolutely crumbles you down, honestly. I felt it so many times as a Real Madrid fan. I know in certain matches that it happened this year as well, where we're literally going to go down, we come back, and it hasn't happened as such as that. But when we go up and then we get absolutely battered by Atletico Madrid, it completely destroyed me, honestly.
Underneath what are some pretty hard-hitting facts and big things to stomach, there's actually plenty of positives from that second half, and that's what I want to talk about because I genuinely thought that there was, I don't know, I genuinely thought there was, positives.
Yeah.
We're going to do some tactical stuff too. This is the JLA tactics board. As you can see, I did have the teams up. This is so typical. The minute we try to run up a bit of extra production, we're having some problems. So let's just get the teams up, as you can see.
Yeah, so obviously that were the teams. And then obviously if you look at it here, obviously with Mosquera coming in, dropping into obviously the back five, it would be all about three with the two wing backs. And you saw literally that Sunderland would just set up with the back 5 and 4, literally just a one line of back 5, and the back 4 was sitting so deep that it ended up literally being a back 9 at time, with Isidore also pressing from the front end as well, which is crazy. So I think Sunderland set up really well against Arsenal. This back 5 is going to be a problem if any other team actually face it.
These were the two teams. We'll be doing some tactical pad stuff using the JLA tactics board, but we'll get to that a little bit later. First thing I want to do is touch on the player ratings and just give my thoughts from the game and get all your thoughts as well. And there were other frustrating moments through the game, like this. Zubimendi had literally won the ball. Yeah, that's how I felt about the free kick that ultimately led to Sunderland's, opening goal. That was frustrating too. I thought there were quite a few moments through the game where I thought, I'm not really, I feel like it's just kind of going against us. And I think
it's true. It did go against the run of play, especially because Arsenal, they maintained possession of the ball, but they didn't really do much with it in the first half. So the goal, it was led obviously by that. So I think Arsenal, they had a very torrid time against Sunderland, and I just think that it's going to be a very tough pill to swallow. But I think Arsenal will bounce back. Let's go on to Troops and let's see what he has to say.
That first 55 minutes until we scored, we were absolutely trash. You get me?
Yeah, exactly that. They were. Arsenal were absolutely shambolic. Like, I had someone in my comment section in a community post saying that Eze was excellent. I have no idea what you're actually looking at, because Eze was getting locked up in the centre of the park. Like, because he made one move with Saka at the end. Oh, you thought that he played good. He didn't. Like, Arsenal, the whole team were very, very poor in the very first half. Only one was actually doing a lot of running was Declan Rice, and he was trying to instigate a lot of the stuff that Arsenal were trying to do, but it did not work. It did not work, and never came into fruition in the first half. Only until the second half came and they started opening the pockets a little bit more.
Get me? That was a lot like the Arsenal of old. You get me? We haven't seen this Arsenal for a while. You get me? We were getting bullied, losing the duels, second to everything, bro. You understand? They were winning.
It's true, because they were too physical. Sunderland was so physical, and somebody, Omar, one of my actually main subscribers, I'm going to shout him out. He said Sunderland will be more physical even against Real Madrid, and it's just facts, mate. It is. Sunderland are a huge team. They've got huge physical players, and look, when Bala scored the goal, you saw how towering these figures are in the Arsenal end. It's absolutely a horrific nightmare to defend against.
Winning the second balls, they were moving the ball better than us. They were retaining possession better than us. True. Their press was better than us.
Yep.
They were onto us, bro. Let's just say it as it is. The last two first half performances have been poor. You get me? Slavia Prague was poor until...
Yeah, Slavia Prague was poor. I saw the very first 15 minutes or so. And in Arsenal, honestly, they needed to do something, because Slavia Prague were very much on the ascendancy, very first few minutes, and then the momentum switched to Arsenal. So, yeah, Slavia Prague was a tough game, especially when you're going to that kind of ground. It's tough to obviously go away home. And, yeah, I have to really, like, commend Slavia Prague for how they started the game, but obviously against Arsenal, it's more of a nurtured team with Arteta. They're going to win the game.
We scored, and then today was poor up until the second half. Mikhail Bloodclot Saka doing what he does, but you get me. Let's go back to that first goal, and the defending for that first goal was absolutely shocking, bro. You get me? It was piss poor defending all round. Rice, you get me? He had a poor game today.
I actually disagree with that Rice had a poor game. I actually very much disagree. I think Rice was the main person trying to carry the ball through the midfield, especially in the second half. I think first half he didn't have the best of games because he lost his man essentially, and he allowed Ballard to go through and really get into that area, a specific area, to allow the shot to happen. So the defending was poor from the whole team, I would say.
He picked it up in the second half. Majority of the players picked it up in the second half.
But up until, like I said, we got the goal, there was really no standout player, blood. You get me? The only man that was actually looking capable of doing something was Trossard, but he was getting double up on. You get me? So he weren't getting no joy down the left hand side. Everyone else,
for the first time in
these adverts, mate, I can't stand it. But yeah, it is that truth. It is that truth. Let me just wait for this advert to go through, and then I will carry on. But honestly, it's definitely like that. It's definitely like that. We need to understand that. I think Trossard was getting doubled up on continuously, and it really showed. Problem areas in Arsenal's front end, especially in the first half, when they didn't show like they were doing nothing. So let's carry on with Troops' match reaction.
Defensively, we have looked outstanding. You get me? Defensively, that's probably the best side or best part of the team. And defensively, we were all over the place, blood. Like I said, that first goal, Declan Rice loses the duel, then he loses his man. The second duel as well, Gabriel, man, just looking in the air, just watching the ball, bro. Like, I don't know what Gabriel was on today. He was involved in both goals, you get me, being conceded.
Yeah, that's
David
true.
Raya, nothing he can do. It's a fantastic finish. You
David Raya made some good saves before, though.
I don't know where this defending came from. Like, I don't know if these men got too confident and they thought the game was already won. But I told these men from the get-go, Sunderland is going to be a difficult game, blood. You get me? They're unbeaten at home, and they showed today why they are unbeaten at home. You get me?
And you can see by the results, even good away results against Chelsea and a lot of these string of teams. Honestly, very, very good showing by Sunderland.
Xhaka derby, Granit Xhaka was bossing that midfield in the first half, blood. You understand? Zubimendi was piss poor. Rice was piss poor. Eze was piss poor. Any three of them, if we're being totally honest, could have been dragged off at half time, blood. You understand?
I said Eze was poor. I think he was getting absolutely dominated in the centre. And him being a 10, he had to drift off to the right to play with Saka because he was getting absolutely crowded by Sunderland. And they didn't not allow him to move or gain space or anything.
No half-time changes would be made. You get me? The bench was looking very flat. You understand? It was looking depleted. Today, we really saw the effects of the injury and how the injuries have finally hurt us, blood. You get me? There was nothing to bring.
Because I've got to say that Gyökeres in this match will be effective because he'll be a person in that kind of aerial battle where you're expecting to try and win anything in the air, or make it just difficult for Sunderland also, have something else to think about. Because Marino in this kind of match, he looked completely lost. I didn't see what Marino was doing. I've got to be honest. Apart from the assist, what did he do? Nothing. So Marino was lost in this match, and I can see the way maybe that Gyökeres will help in this kind of area. I say a player like Martinelli would help because he would be quick on the transition, essentially, trying to help break down Sunderland, especially when they try to pile bodies forward as well. So players like Martinelli, there's a lot of players that would be definitely effective for Arsenal. And we're just going to round up, obviously, with this point from Troops.
Off the bench, you get me? Second half, we started how we finished the first half. Dead, you get me? The only thing we really created in that first half was that Saliba opportunity in stoppage time. He sent it way over. I expect Saliba to do a lot better from there. You get me? I'm not saying to him to finish
but hit the target.
I expect him to at least hit the target, bro. You get me? The technical ability of the man, I expected more from him from at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I that chance that they had to try and come back into the game would have been a turning point in the game. I think going into half-time with a 1-1 and then Arsenal coming out. But maybe I think Arsenal had more motivation to come back into the game and not try and do the usual, trying to pass it around, trying to feed it through, trying to allow players to get into space and try to make them their move. But unfortunately, it was poor from Arsenal in the very first half.
But you get me, went into the half 1-0 down, deservedly so as well. Sunderland could have had a couple more goals. Luckily, they didn't. Second half, we started poor again, you get me? But then the goal came out of nowhere. It came from a Sunderland mistake. We actually started pressing them. We actually started to not give them time on the ball. You know,
that's what it is. That's the main thing. The second half, they did not give time on the ball. And when Declan Rice pressed in that midfield area, you knew he was going to gain possession. He was right on him. And then fed it obviously through Marino. Marino came out, obviously passed it out to Saka, and Saka slugged it away. That's how it is. And then also, obviously the second goal was individual brilliance. Let's just call it as it is. A spade is a spade. It was individual brilliance from Trossard. And then I think the press was lost after the second goal went in. That's the problem. So Arsenal overall, I tell you, they weren't good overall. They showed patches in the second half. They showed nothing in the first half. They crumbled at the end, and that is a team like Arsenal, these are the kind of game you need to win. And if you won this game, you would be held high regard for a lot of the fans in England, football fans itself, on can you win the title. This match would have proved if you can win the title, if you are in it for the long run. But now you allow Man City and Liverpool to claw back. That game is today, obviously, so make sure, obviously, you check into that one. But don't forget to subscribe to Lee Gunner, Dan Potts from Football's 12th Man, James from the Gooniverse, and also Troops for Troops. Let's see, obviously, how these guys obviously take the next match, which is going to be the North London derby. Absolutely incredible. But guys, take care. You're going to see all the people's channels in the actual description below. Make sure you subscribe to all of them, and we'll see you next time on another Dave Fan Reactions. Take care. Adios, people.